There are an increasing number of people who take on the process of low-carb eating believing that it will help them for their weight loss. However, there is still an existing and hottest question when dealing with low-carb eating, and that is if low-carb eating a healthy way of life. So what then is the answer? Find out here. Speaking of the low-carb eating, it is a common consideration that it is not important to count calories in the low-carb eating lifestyle. As such, you have the freedom to eat as much as you want and whenever you want. But despite this truth behind the low-carb eating lifestyle, many experts have noted this as never a healthy way of life. Many people are indeed metabolically resistant. So in instances like this, the proper way of reducing food intake may aid the dieters to motivate or sustain the consistent weight loss that they wish. Still, when talking about low-carb eating, it is the carbohydrates that must be kept low, not the calories. To further support the view, it is a given fact that in low-carb eating lifestyle, you are definitely been eating fats and oils. As such, you rarely ever be hungry for in general, those foods that are high in fat are ever satisfying. A high-fat eating coupled with a low-carb eating supplements will tell your body that it is not starving just like the case of fasting, but rather your metabolism in this stage maintains a normal level. So while consuming fat is one of the prerequisites for a healthy low-carb eating, it is then necessary to limit the consumption of trans fats like margarine. Instead of that, it is recommended that you use real butter, for it is a good fat. And for your interest, good fats are found in olive oil, flaxseed oil, canola oil, and oils that are greatly found in nuts. So then, is low-carb eating healthy? Well, on a low-carb eating, you can definitely lose weight constantly and it can reduce your insulin levels, lower cholesterol, lower blood pressure, and even stabilize your blood sugar, which is of course great for diabetics. And since in low-carb eating, you will be taking less fruits and vegetables, it is then necessary that you take a good full-spectrum multivitamins and fiber supplements. It is also important to consider that the main purpose of the low-carb eating is to bring your body chemistry and insulin level back into balance. And so to make this, you need to take a diet that is unbalanced in the opposite direction of the way that you have been eating for the rest of your life. The science of low-carb diets, why they work. You long for firmer muscles and smaller waist. Everybody does. Do you think you can't lose weight? Yes, you can. But the truth is you can't lose weight without a diet, a plan. Low-carb diet. Weight loss experts and diet plan authors all agree that much of our excess weight comes from the carbohydrates we eat, especially the highly refined or processed ones such as potatoes, baked goods, bread, pasta and other convenient foods. To aggravate the problem, few of us get enough exercise to ward off excess pounds. The basic science behind the low-carb diet is to limit the consumption of foods with a lot of carbohydrates. The low-carb diet includes many popular weight loss programs such as the Atkins, South Beach, Zone and Carbohydrate Addict diet. Does it really work? One of the food groups which the body needs to survive are carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, also referred to as carbs, come in two types: sugars and starches. Sugars are simple carbs, usually sweet tasting like biscuits and sweets and easily digested. Whereas, starches are complex carbs found in bread, pasta, noodles and rice and take longer to digest. The body transforms all these digestible carbs into glucose, the sugar that our cells use as fuel or energy. When glucose molecules pass from the intestine into the bloodstream, the pancreas releases insulin, a hormone that mobilizes cells to absorb it. Muscle, fat and other cells then absorb the excess glucose from the blood and insulin levels return to normal. After a meal, high in glycemic index ranking of foods according to how fast their sugars are released into the bloodstream, blood sugar levels rise higher and rapidly. The insulin needed to fill all that sugar into muscles and fat cells also weaken the activity of glucagon, a hormone that signals the body to burn stored fuel when blood sugar levels fall below a certain point. Glucose level drops so low, leaving the body starved for energy. The brain and intestine then send out hunger signals. New cravings are created requiring more carb intake. We then overeat, that leads to more fat, rise in blood insulin level, more hunger, and more weight gain, and the cycle goes on. On the contrary, adhering to a low-carb diet puts an end to this cycle. Reduced carbohydrates would mean decreased insulin level, increased glucagon level, weight loss, improved triglycerides, fats carried in the blood which are necessary but when excessive cause coronary damage, decrease in LDL, bad cholesterol, increase in HDL, good cholesterol. The bottom line: give refined or processed carbohydrates which cause rapid changes in blood sugar, trigger hunger, thereby encouraging overeating that ultimately leads to obesity, smaller spots on your plate. Anyway, nobody ever died from skipping potatoes, pasta, rice and white bread. That said, go get yourself a few good low-carb cookbooks. Better still, leaf through this site's 1,000 plus low-carb recipes, a seemingly endless variety of recipes. Try every recipe imaginable and make this diet as enjoyable and diverse as possible. Yes, you can diet. Lose weight. Live longer.